Hey guys, it's Frazer from MemWave back for another video. So today we have a really awesome product to look at. It's the latest Ghost Canyon NUC from Intel. The model in this video is the 9 Extreme variant, and it has a 6-core 12-thread i7-9750H with 32 gigs of RAM and an RTX 2070, all inside this tiny little enclosure. So with such great specs on paper, I'm really curious to see how this will manage a few games. So stick around because we're going to find out in today's video. So before I get into the games, let's just talk a little bit more about the Ghost Canyon NUC itself. So once it's fully kitted out with the graphics card and everything, it only weighs about 3.8 kilograms. And for height, it's about 21.6 centimeters tall. For width, it's about 9.6 centimeters, and the depth is about 23.8 centimeters. So Intel has decreased the form factor of this PC by using a custom device called a compute element, and you can see it on its side here and the bottom of it here. And essentially it's a smaller than ITX motherboard, and it fits on a PCB board about the size of a typical graphics card, and it interfaces just like a graphics card too by a PCI Express lane. So these compute elements come with built-in Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth, and they also have support for up to 2 sticks of 32GB SODIMM DDR4 for 64 gig total, and also 2 M.2 NVMe drives for super fast storage. So for anyone that's curious about the ports, I'll just quickly show you what we've got. On the front, we've got a 3.5mm jack, we've got 2 USBs, and we've got an SD card reader. On the rear of the compute element, we have a whole bunch of ports, so I'll just list them on the video. And then on the graphics card, it's going to be specific to whichever graphics card you use. And then we have a Kensington lock. Okay, so we're all ready to go. I've got one of my favorite games here, Rainbow Six Siege, ready, and I want to see how it performs on this NUC. So I've got Afterburner set up in the corner so you can see all the stats and see how we're running. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is just show you guys the settings we're using. So we're at 2K, 144 Hz, 16:9 aspect ratio, 90 field of view, and pretty much everything is maxed out. So now we're in the game. I'm just going to reset the average FPS counter. So it starts at 176. Alright, let's go. Okay, well, straight away, super smooth. 160-ish average right now, which is good considering the settings are so high. We have a lot of room to play and drop some settings if we need to. And obviously, Rainbow Six Siege being an esports title, we want to get about 144 FPS at all times. Well, for this particular monitor at least. So just killing a bunch of people, everything's smooth, no hitches at all. Really great performance actually. I would be more than happy to use this for, you know, competitive ranked matches or whatever. I'm getting bombarded by enemies right now. So the graphics card is sitting about 96% utilization, and we're only getting about 67 degrees Celsius, which is actually really good. And I would expect higher temperatures considering how tiny the case is. But I guess because it's got that mesh panel on the side, it actually makes it very easy for the graphics card to breathe in some fresh air. The CPU, we're getting about 60 to 70% while playing, and we're chilling about 83, 84 degrees, which is pretty good, but you have to keep in mind that this is a mobile processor and they generally run a lot hotter. For example, I have an 8th gen laptop and my processor runs around 90 to 95 degrees Celsius, and generally they're fine up to 100 degrees Celsius. So 85 degrees is actually pretty comfortable. For the RAM, we've got a ridiculous 32 gigs, and we're only using about 7 gigs at the moment, so plenty to go. But the good thing about this RAM is you can do a lot of multitasking. Like if you want to leave open web browsers or Discord in the background and that, you don't have to worry about how much RAM you've got. Alright, so now I'm going to try out Shadow of the Tomb Raider. This game's pretty fun, and we are just going to go in the settings and just check everything's set up. So full screen, DirectX 12, 2K, we're going to chuck on RTX DLSS, chuck 144 Hz, take advantage of that high refresh rate. And then for graphics, just check everything's maxed out. Okay, cool. So that's pretty much everything maxed, and it's running at 2K, so we'll see how it runs. I'm not actually sure how this is going to go because we've got the ray tracing, but we do have DLSS, which should help us. Okay, and we're sitting about 47, 48. So this is kind of expected given I really ramped up the settings to max, and to be honest, it's perfectly playable, especially if you use a controller. I believe on consoles it runs at 30 FPS, so running at 50 FPS is actually really awesome. The game looks fantastic as well. In a short second, I'm going to turn some of the settings down, see what kind of performance we get. So now you can see I've just turned off the ray tracing, so shadow quality is set to off. And now, yeah, the frame rate's jumped up a bunch. I'll just set the average again. All right, so now we're sitting at like 80 FPS, which is super awesome, super smooth. And again, everything's pretty much maxed out. So if you just turn off the ray tracing, you're getting like, 20 FPS higher.
Part of the plane landed here. My gear is in that cargo.
And of course, the graphics card temperature's dropped a little bit. Alright, so now I'm going to give Battlefield 5 a go. So let's jump into the settings to show you what we're running. So 2K at 144 Hz, field of view at 86. All these other settings are kind of, they don't have much effect on the graphics, but here they all are, all set to on. For advanced, we're running DirectX 12, we've got DXR on, and we've got DLSS on. Then for everything else, future frame rendering set to on. I'll turn off the memory restriction, and everything else is set to auto max fidelity. So straight away, we are sitting about 76 FPS, 79, 75. It's actually better than I was expecting. I thought it would be lower, especially because we're at 2K and we've got RTX. Obviously with DLSS set to on, that helps us a lot. But yeah, pretty impressive. Obviously if you're playing it on multiplayer, you'll probably want to take off the ray tracing because it will give you much higher frame rate, especially if you're gaming on a high refresh monitor. But yeah, this is pretty good so far. This game uses a bit more RAM than the other games, so it's using about 12 gig, but it's kind of irrelevant because we have 32 gigs of RAM, so it's crazy. We don't really have to worry about the RAM too much. And I'm nearly dead. Alright, so now I'm going to change the settings a little bit. I'm just going to try 1080p. So a lot of people play at 1080p. It's very, very popular resolution, so we'll see how we go with that. So reset that. Alright. So at 1080p with ray tracing on, everything maxed out, and DLSS set to on, we're getting about 90 right now. Try not to die if I can help it. But yeah, that water actually looks crazy with all the lighting effects from the ray tracing. It's pretty good. It's actually pretty impressive. Like, yeah. So the graphics card is sitting about 67 degrees, 98% use, and the CPU is sitting about 88. It's just under 90, but that's fine. I said before, because this is a mobile CPU, they kind of run up to about 100 degrees before they start to throttle. And you can see from the 3988 megahertz that this CPU is not throttling at the moment, so it's maintaining its full speed, which is very important. But yeah, it's sitting pretty comfortably below 100. Like, I think it's maxed out about 90, yeah, 92 or something. So it should be fine, it shouldn't throttle. So after testing a bunch of games, I'm really impressed by the fact that you can play things like Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Battlefield 5 with high detail settings and ray tracing enabled, especially when this little guy is only about the size of a game console or possibly a little bit smaller. If you guys are looking for a powerful yet portable gaming PC, for example, you want to replace that monstrous tower taking up too much of your space, or you want something you can just chuck into a backpack, then I really think that the Ghost Canyon NUC is worth a look. So that's all I've got to talk about in today's video, but if you enjoyed it, please consider leaving us a like or subscribe for more content. If you'd like to check out the Intel NUC offerings available at M-Wave, then please take a look below this video for more information. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.